The Galactic Council Hall was the most powerful place in the known universe. It was a massive circular building made of silver glass that floated above the capital planet of Rathos Prime. Inside, hundreds of alien races gathered under the bright blue ceiling that shimmered like liquid light. Every seat was filled with alien ambassadors, generals, and ministers. They were the rulers of worlds, the masters of fleets, and the voices of countless species. And in the center of this grand hall stood one human, Sergeant Elias Ward, wearing a simple gray uniform of Earth Defense Command, stood alone on a raised silver platform. His uniform had no decoration, no golden armor, no glowing badges like the aliens around him. His hands were behind his back, his posture calm and straight, but his presence seemed small compared to the giant creatures that surrounded him. A deep, cruel laugh echoed through the hall. It came from Ambassador Krelak of the Krellan Empire, a tall reptilian being with gold-scaled skin and burning red eyes. His sharp teeth glinted under the light. "So this is the human warrior?" Krelak hissed loudly. "He looks like he can't even lift a plasma rifle. I've eaten creatures stronger than him for breakfast." The hall exploded with laughter. The sound was a mix of growls, buzzing, clicking, and screeching, each alien voice blending into an ugly storm of mockery. The Avarians, proud bird-like creatures with bright feathers, chuckled softly behind their wings. The Tarlox, insectoid beings covered in crystal armor, clacked their mandibles together in amusement. Even the normally quiet Rune, a telepathic species that rarely spoke, projected mocking thoughts across the chamber. Elias did not react. His face was calm, his blue eyes steady. He had been warned this would happen. Humans were new to the Galactic Union. Only 10 years ago, Earth had been accepted into the Council, a decision that many alien powers still opposed. They saw humanity as primitive, violent, and unrefined. To them, humans were just clever apes who had somehow built faster-than-light drives. Elias knew all this, but he also knew something they didn't. The laughter slowly faded when a deep rumble shook the hall. The council chairman, a massive slug-like alien named Vorin, raised one of his slimy hands for silence. His body shimmered with blue slime as he spoke in a deep, slow voice. "Enough." Vorin's many eyes blinked as he stared at the human. "Sergeant Elias Ward of Earth, you requested this audience to discuss military cooperation between your world and the Union. Speak now and be brief." Elias nodded politely. "Thank you, Chairman Vorin." His voice was calm and firm. He stepped closer to the center and looked around the hall. Hundreds of alien eyes focused on him, some full of curiosity, most full of disdain. "Members of the Council," Elias began, "humanity has come to offer our support to the Union's defense efforts. Reports indicate that unknown fleets have been attacking border systems, ships marked with no flag, no origin. They have already destroyed several colonies. We believe the threat is real and growing." A mocking laugh interrupted him. It came from Ambassador Zethra of the Tarlox. Her crystal-like body reflected light as she tilted her head. "The human speaks of war again. Your species is always afraid of fighting. You see shadows in every corner. Perhaps your minds are too simple to understand peace." Elias looked at her calmly. "Peace is earned," he said quietly. "It doesn't come for free, and it never lasts if no one is willing to defend it." Another wave of laughter filled the air. Chairman Vorin let out a slow, wet sound that might have been amusement. "You humans and your grand speeches. Tell us, soldier, why should we believe that your people, who have only one small planet and a few colonies, can contribute to the defense of the entire galaxy?" Elias met his gaze. "Because we don't give up," he said simply. "Even when everyone else does." For a brief second, the hall grew quiet. The conviction in his voice carried weight, something raw and human. But then Krelak's laughter broke the silence again. "Brave words from a fragile creature," the reptilian ambassador hissed. "Tell me, human, how many wars have you fought in space? How many fleets do you command? 10, 20? We Krellans have over 5,000 battleships. Your Earth fleet barely has 500 old cruisers. 500 ships," Elias said softly, "is more than enough when they're crewed by humans." The laughter grew again, mocking, echoing, cruel. Elias remained silent. He didn't flinch, didn't shout back. Instead, he pressed a small button on the wrist of his uniform. The holographic projector in front of him came alive with a bright blue light. A massive image appeared behind him. live footage from deep space. The holo showed a chaotic battle at the edge of the Varkan frontier, a region under Council protection. Thousands of unknown ships, dark, sharp, and metallic, were swarming a small human fleet. The enemy ships moved like predators, fast and deadly, firing plasma beams that tore through space, but the human fleet stood its ground. Small frigates and cruisers maneuvered between the enemy lines, fighting back with precision. One human ship rammed directly into an enemy cruiser, sacrificing itself to destroy the enemy flagship. Explosions bloomed like fireflowers in the dark void. Gasps echoed across the council hall. Voron's eyes widened. What is this?" Elias's calm voice filled the silence. "This is a live transmission from the human 3rd Expeditionary Fleet. Right now, at this very moment, they're holding the line against the same invaders that destroyed 3 of your colonies last month." He paused, looking slowly around the hall. No other fleet came to help. Not one ship from the Council responded to the distress calls, so we went alone. The laughter was gone. Krelak's tail twitched nervously. Zethra's bright crystals dimmed slightly. Even Voron looked uneasy. Elias continued, his tone steady and quiet. "You call us weak because our bones break and our lives are short. You laugh because we bleed easily and because our worlds are small. But remember this, humans don't stop fighting. We survive what others can't. We turn loss into strength. We fight until there's nothing left to give, and then we keep going." The hollow image behind him showed the human fleet still holding. Outnumbered 20-1, they refused to retreat. Every explosion lit the dark space like a heartbeat of defiance. Elias turned off the hologram. The room was silent now, thick with the weight of shame. He looked directly at Chairman Voron. "You asked what we can offer. I'll tell you. We offer courage. The kind that doesn't come from armor or claws or wings. The kind that comes from the heart." He stepped down from the platform and began to walk toward the giant silver doors of the chamber. Every step echoed. No one dared to speak. At the door, he stopped and looked back. "You mocked us today," he said softly. "But when this war reaches your homeworlds, and it will, you'll remember who stood when no one else would." Without another word, Elias walked out. The council hall remained silent long after he was gone. For the first time in centuries, the mighty rulers of the galaxy felt something new. It wasn't anger. It wasn't pride, it was respect, and a small flicker of fear, because deep down they all realized one terrible truth. If 500 humans could stand against a swarm of 12,000 enemy ships, then maybe humans weren't weak at all. Maybe they were something far more dangerous. The news spread through the galaxy like fire in dry grass. The human fleet, 500 ships from a small world no one had cared about, was fighting alone at the Varkan frontier, holding the line against a mysterious enemy that had crushed every other species before them. The aliens who once mocked humanity now watched the battle in silence. Every council channel showed the same feed, human ships burning, exploding, and falling, but never retreating. The battle continues in the cold void of space. The human command ship, HDS Resolute, floated at the center of chaos. Explosions flashed across its view screen, painting the bridge in red light. "Enemy ships closing from all sides," shouted Lieutenant Sarah Kim, her voice sharp but steady. "Shield at 20%. Hull breaches on decks 4 to 6. Captain Elias Ward stood tall at the front of the bridge. His calm eyes studied the screen. He was no longer in the council chamber. He was back where he belonged, among his people, facing the impossible. "Hold position," he ordered. "Redirect all power to forward cannons. Tell the 5th Squadron to fall back and cover the civilians." "Aye, Captain." Outside, the human fleet looked like sparks against a storm. The enemy ships, black, jagged, and alive with green light, moved like a swarm of beasts. No one knew what they were. Their weapons cut through metal and shields like paper, but the humans kept fighting. A message from Earth back on Earth, the global defense network, transmitted Elias's last message across the stars. It wasn't full of anger or pride. It was a simple broadcast. "To all council worlds, this is Captain Elias Ward of the Human Defense Fleet. We are outnumbered 20-1. We won't surrender. If anyone is listening, hold your ground. Humanity stands for all." Billions watched. On the council's capital planet, Chairman Voron sat in his grand hall, staring at the hologram. Around him, the alien ambassadors who had once laughed at Elias were silent. Ambassador Krelak, the reptilian giant, clenched his claws. "This is madness," he growled. "They'll all die." Voron's deep eyes turned toward him. "Yes," he said softly, "and yet they fight harder than any of us ever have." For the first time, shame filled the council chamber. The turning point on the Resolute, alarms blared. The bridge shook violently as another plasma beam struck the hull. "Captain, the enemy is boarding us," shouted Sarah. "We've lost the rear defense grid." Elias turned to his crew. "Arm yourselves. We hold this ship or we die trying." Dozens of soldiers grabbed rifles and lined up near the airlocks. The metal walls trembled as enemy claws tore through the hull. When the breach opened, monstrous figures poured in, tall, armored creatures with glowing green eyes. They moved fast, slicing through corridors with energy blades. But the humans were faster. Elias led the charge himself, firing his rifle with perfect precision. Every shot hit an enemy head or heart. Around him, humans shouted battle cries, not out of rage, but out of pure determination. They fought in narrow halls, in smoke and blood, pushing the invaders back step by step. Elias's armor was torn. His face burned, but he didn't stop. When the last alien fell, he stood over it, breathing hard. The floor was covered with sparks and shattered metal. "Seal the breach," he ordered. "Then target their command ship. We end this now." In the council hall far away, the Galactic Council watched. The entire galaxy watched. Elias's voice came through the speakers, calm and steady even as his ship burned. "This is for every world that thought humans were weak. We're not fighting for glory. We're fighting because someone has to." Ambassador Zethra of the Tarlox whispered, "No one has ever stood against that enemy this long." Chairman Voron lowered his many eyes. "No one but humans," Krellick growled, then slammed his claw on the table. "Prepare my fleet. We're going to the Varkon frontier." The other ambassadors turned in shock. "You can't—" One started, but Krellick cut him off. "I can. That human fought for our galaxy while we laughed. I'll not sit here like a coward while he dies." Within hours, dozens of alien fleets launched from their home worlds. Krellan warships, Avarian carriers, Tarlock dreadnoughts. The galaxy was moving, and for the first time, not out of fear but because of respect. The final stand. The Resolute was almost gone. Fires burned through its decks. Half the crew was dead or missing. Elias stood on the bridge staring at the enemy command ship through the cracked window. It was enormous, 10 times the size of the Resolute, glowing like a green sun. "Captain," Sarah said softly, "if we fire now, the core will overload." Elias nodded. "Then we'll take them with us." He turned on the comms. "To all ships, this is Captain Ward. You've done your duty. You've done more than anyone ever asked. If anyone can hear me, it's been an honor." The crew saluted silently. Some cried, some smiled. Elias looked one last time at the stars, the same stars humans had dreamed of for centuries. Fire. The ship's cannons roared. Blue light filled the void as the Resolute's main reactor went critical. A blinding explosion tore through space, engulfing the enemy command ship and half its fleet. The shockwave spread like a sunrise. Then, silence. The aftermath hours later, the first reinforcements arrived. The Krellan Armada, the Avarian wings, and fleets from 10 other species jumped into the battlefield. What they found left them speechless. The enemy fleet was broken, most of it destroyed, and among the debris floated what was left of the human ships. Twisted metal, silent hulls, and drifting beacons blinking weakly. Only a handful of human vessels had survived. One of them, the HDS Valor, carried the wounded crew of the Resolute. Lieutenant Sarah Kim sat quietly in the medbay, her arm wrapped in bandages. She looked out the window and whispered, "We did it, Captain." But there was no answer. Captain Elias Ward was gone. His body had never been found. The legacy weeks later, the Galactic Council gathered again in the same hall where they once laughed. This time the air was heavy with respect. Chairman Voron's voice echoed softly. "The Council recognizes the bravery of the human fleet. They stood when no one else would. Because of them, the enemy is gone. Because of them, we still have a galaxy to protect." Ambassador Krellick stood up slowly. His usual arrogance was gone. "Let it be known," he said, "that the Krellan Empire honors humanity as equals. No longer will we mock them. They are warriors of the highest order." Ambassador Zethra bowed her crystalline head, "and the Tarlox will never forget their sacrifice. The universe owes them peace." The council voted unanimously. Earth was granted a permanent seat among the leading worlds. Human officers were invited to train other species in strategy and courage. And in the center of the grand hall, a statue was built. It was made of steel and glass, showing a man in a torn uniform standing tall with his hands behind his back, Sergeant Elias Ward. Beneath the statue, a simple line was carved in every alien language. He stood when others fell. Years later, the galaxy changed. The Union grew stronger. And every new recruit, human or alien, was taught about the man who stood before the council and refused to bow. Children on distant worlds learned his name. Commanders quoted his last message before going into battle. And far beyond the stars, near a quiet system at the edge of the galaxy, a small distress beacon blinked weakly among the debris of an old ship. Inside the ruined escape pod, a faint heartbeat echoed. A cracked helmet rested beside a man's still body. His eyes slowly opened. It was Elias Ward. He looked at the stars and whispered with a tired smile, "Guess humanity still has work to do."